Good morning and welcome to the December DAC Monthly Webcast. I'm Jennifer Stafford, the Director in the Division of Assessment and Accountability Support. I'm joined today with wonderful members of the Office of Assessment and Accountability and also the Office of Career and Technical Education. Before we get into the agenda, I just wanted to remember the schools and districts and staff and members of our Western Kentucky schools that were impacted by the tornadoes a couple of years ago. Even though it's been 2 years, we still think about you. We continue to wish for your best and know that you are still recovering and still healing from that process. And we want you to know that we're thinking about you during the holiday season. And secondly, I just wanted to say thank you. I want to say thanks to each of the district assessment coordinators that have worked so hard this year to implement state assessments and understand the newest accountability system that we have in the state of Kentucky. And just thank you, each of you, for the work that you do. District assessment coordinators do not only wear that one hat, but multiple hats. And we thank you for all that you do on a regular basis for our students, for the staff members, and the parents and the community members that you impact on a regular basis, on a daily basis. And so we thank you for that. It does not go unnoticed. And we just wanted to wish you the best as we go into this holiday season. Now let's jump in. As Ben brings up the PowerPoint presentation, we'll jump into the agenda that we have for you. We'll start out with Krista Mullins, and she will bring us updates on the alternate Kentucky Summative Assessment. We are at the end of window 1. And the administration of the alternate Kentucky Summative Assessment has gone quite well, thanks to you and your administrators in the schools. And she's got some updates and reminders and some information about a makeup window and how that leads into window 2. We'll shift then to Sherry Craig, who has joined us again. We're so excited that she could be here with us this morning. And she's going to bring us some career and technical education updates. We'll pass it then to Chris Williams, who will bring us access for ELLs reminders. As you know, the testing will start when we get back from the holiday break. So she's got some timely information for you on access testing. And then Shara Savage will finish us out this morning with ACT reminders. We've got some deadlines coming up, and we wanted to remind you of those. And as always, we take your questions. If you have any questions right now, Ben Riley is monitoring DAC info. So please email dacinfo@education.ky.gov with all of your questions, and we'll get to all of those, or as many of those as we can. So at this point, I'll turn it over to Krista for AKSA updates and reminders.
Good morning, everyone. I'm Krista Mullins, an administration program consultant in the Office of Assessment and Accountability, and I just wanted to bring you some reminders as our AKSA window 1 is closing tomorrow. So again, that window 1 closes tomorrow, Friday, December 15th. All attainment tasks and field tests must be administered and completed by this date. Teachers may continue to enter scores into the SRD through the close of business on Friday, December 22nd. So next Friday, December 22nd is the last day to enter scores into the SRD. When entering scores into the SRD, the teacher will click on AT in the row of the student's name that they are entering scores for. On the next screen, the teacher must choose the field test form, whether that's field test form 1, 2, or 3 that was used for test administration. The form number can be found on the binder cover sheet and in the top right-hand corner of the field test. Teachers will click the tabs of each content area to enter scores. Please note there is not a separate tab for field tests. The field test scores will be entered with their corresponding content area. There is no field test for science. If a student did not respond for an item, the test administrator will select no response. Test administrators will click Save and Submit to save progress if they need to return and complete entering scores. Once all scores have been entered and Save and Submit has been clicked, the student record cannot be edited unless the whole record is reset, which will erase the data. All scores must be entered for Window 1 by the close of business on December 22nd. If a student's situation has changed and they are unable to test during Window 1 due to medical circumstances, the student may be tested during the makeup window, which is January 8th through March 22nd. If they are unable to be tested during the makeup window, they can be administered both Window 1 and Window 2 in the spring during Window 2. Medical non-participations are not completed and filed until the spring window. Students who were unable to complete testing during Window 1 may be administered the attainment tasks, or the AT, during the makeup window. If a district has a student they would like to test during this time, the district can make a formal request using the Google form that was sent in the Monday DAC email and the special alternate email on December 11th. The student's SSID number, district, reason for the makeup, and date of expected completion of the makeup are required on the form. Once the form has been completed and submitted, a copy of your responses will be emailed to you. This is confirmation that you completed and submitted the form correctly. If you do not receive an email with a copy of your responses, you will want to make sure you submitted the form. Please allow 1 to 2 business days for KDE to review the request and make a determination regarding the request. Test materials are secure materials. It is important to delete any content that was downloaded to a device for test administration. This should be done once testing is complete. Any materials that were copied or adapted for test administration should be properly destroyed or shredded. Student answer sheets that were used to record student answers should be given to the BAC or DAC. Check with your district on who they would like to have these turned into to be kept in a secure location. Student answer sheets should not be destroyed. Return binders and any original copies of testing materials to the BAC or DAC to be kept in a secure location. Window 1 binders and original materials are kept in the event a student moves into the district and needs to take Window 1 during the second testing window. Window 1 materials are not sent to districts in the spring. Only Window 2 materials are sent in the spring. Therefore, it is important to keep Window 1 binders in a secure location. Ben, do we have any questions regarding the AKSA?
We do not have any AKSA questions at this time, but we will circle back around at the end of the presentation and address them then if we have any more.
All right, thank you so much. I'd like to turn it over now to my colleague, Sherry Craig, in the Office of Career and Technical Education.
Thank you, Krista. Hello, everyone. My name is Sherry Craig with the Office of Career and Technical Education, and I'm here to share some updates and reminders related to the CTE end of program assessment and also the track pre-apprenticeship assessments for this upcoming testing. First, I would like to remind you that the 2023-24 CTE end of program assessment coordinator and administrator manual is now available. You can access that and other information related to end of program assessment on KDE website. And also available is the online IT requirements. The CTE end of program assessment is administered using the online testing system, ESES, provided by Pittsco Education. Please review the technical specifications in the CTE and EOP online IT requirements provided by ESES and KDE to ensure a smooth testing experience. DACs, BACs, and principals should communicate with building and district technology coordinators to confirm all guidelines in the online IT requirements document are addressed prior to local administration of the test. Also, as a reminder, the end of program assessment and the track pre-apprenticeship assessments testing windows are February 19th through March 29th. Schools will have identified a 2-week testing window within that timeline, and all EOP and track pre-apprenticeship testing must be completed by March 29th. I will say that not all schools have the track program, but those that do, the track carpentry, electrical, and welding track pre-apprenticeships will be available for administration through ESES during those timelines. The critical deadline is February 1st, and this is for student testing registration deadline for the EOP and also the track pre-apprenticeships. So students must be properly identified as a concentrator and have the required number of credits in the career pathway in the TEDS, the Technical Education Database System, by February 1st of the current school year to receive a test ticket. So you can refer to the TEDS monthly notes and the TEDS website for more information regarding TEDS data. For clarification, the end of program assessment test tickets, a student must be identified as a concentrator and have at least 2 or more credits, valid credits in the pathway. And then also with the track pre-apprenticeship assessments, the student must be enrolled in the specific track pathway and be identified as a concentrator and have 4 or more credits in the pathway to be eligible to test in the track pre-apprenticeship, or again, for carpentry, electrical, or welding. Next, I want to share with you a new update for this year for 23-24 in ESES. A new feature called Focus Lock will be activated in ESES during the 2024 testing window. Focus Lock will monitor loss of browser focus during testing. Students are not permitted to leave or navigate away from the testing screen in ESES once the test has begun. If a student attempts to open another browser or window or program during testing, the student will be warned and may be locked out of their assessment. Also, proctors must continue to actively monitor students during testing. The CTE EOP online sample test allows students to practice using the online testing environment and become familiar with the test format. Prior to testing, the online sample test should be run on every device that will be used for live testing to ensure local system performance. And the Focus Lock feature is available or activated on the sample test. I will add that there are no additional downloads or settings updates required for Focus Lock, and it should work with all approved web browsers according to the IT requirements. The participant or student must read and acknowledge the student test taking honor code and Focus Lock warning statements prior to testing in order to begin the assessment. Next, I just want to share with you there are going to be some optional office hours for CTE EOP and track pre-apprenticeship assessments. These office hours will be available in January of 2024, specifically January 10th, 17th, 24th, and 31st, so the Wednesdays in January. And again, this is optional if any districts or schools personnel involved with EOP or track pre-apprenticeship assessments may join for assistance. Of course, assessment coordinators, administrators may continue to contact the Office of Career and Technical Education for support anytime for assistance. But again, I just wanted to share you with these dates for planning purposes, and more information will be provided to access the office hours in future, after the first of the year, future correspondence. Also, I wanted to, as a reminder, that all individuals participating in the test administration must complete the required assessment regulation training prior to test administration at the school level. Again, this is required annually. If there are any questions, please contact me, Sherry Craig with the Office of Career and Technical Education, or you may contact the KDEOP information, email for assistance with EOP or track pre-apprenticeship assessments. And I will share with you some of my colleagues in the Office of Career and Technical Education. If there are any questions, please reach out to us for assistance. And Ben, are there any other questions at this time?
I don't have any at this time, but we'll circle back around at the end of the webcast and we'll address any that come in.
Thank you.
Absolutely.
Well, thank you, Sherry. Today, I'm Chris Williams, and I'm going to bring to you some reminders about access-free LLs. And with our access-free LLs, that encompasses both the access online, our WIDA alternate access. It also encompasses their kindergarten and also students who need accommodated with our Braille and large print. So just want to let you know that particular piece, because sometimes people are new to our districts and they may not know of all the things that are encompassing of access. So it's a lot of information and lots of things to do. So let's talk about how we're preparing before our testing window opens for access. And what you should be doing is making sure that you all have a WIDA Secure Portal account if you're going to administer the assessment. So that way you can go through your training courses, take the quizzes that are necessary for you through that course. And remember, when you get a WIDA Secure Portal account, when you log in for the first time, you will you will do a non-disclosure user agreement. Make sure that you have given that copy to your district assessment coordinator, so that way she has that or he has that on file in the district office. And then also making sure that when you have a WIDA Secure Portal is not only to take your quizzes and enroll into the course, but it's also resources for you if you need any extra manuals, etc. You can get that there. Also, if you was not able to attend any of the WIDA webinars and you want to go back and listen to those, also your technology coordinator can also get access to those webinars too, to make sure that they have gone through that as well. Another thing is that not only with that WIDA Secure Portal account, we also want to make sure that if you've got any students who have an IEP or a 504, the only way you can have accommodations is if you can have that on access if you have one of those plans. And there are forms for you to fill out. You also want to, get with your special ed staff, your director. You want to get with your test administrator so that way they know that they have these forms filled out. Whether the student is taking the access online, the alternate access, the kindergarten, etc. And that those forms can be found in the accommodations and accessibility manual. And that is also located on that WIDA Secure Portal if you need access to that. Those forms are in the back, and you can fill this out for every student who has an IEP or 504 plan and needs to take one of these assessments. You will fill one of those out, and so that way the test administrator knows what accommodations to give and in what domains. And then also when you're testing online, you will also enter the accommodations that the student uses if you're testing online in WIDA MS. If you're testing, alternate access, or you're testing kindergarten, that is done in a test booklet. And so on the back of the test booklet is, even if you have a pre-ID label, there is a space for you to enter the accommodations that the student received on those assessments as well. So make sure that you're, as a DAC or a BAC, that you're filling those that information out both either in WIDA AMS or on the test booklet. And then the next thing is that, if you've got any students who have come in after the testing window, excuse me, not after the testing, after the materials ordering window, that you have got that the students are in the test setup in the WIDA assessment management system. And that started November 30th and it goes through February 16th. So you have plenty of time to get your students into WIDA AMS. A lot of your students are already pre-populated when that opened on November 30th. If they were in your district and in Infinite Campus by the end of the ordering window in October, we sent a pre-ID label file to DRC to start that process of uploading your students and getting them ready when that opened up on the 30th. Another thing is that during this time, if you do not have, if your students come in, if you had new students who come in after we sent that pre-ID label file to DRC, then you can manually add those students into the system and then also into what we call test registrations, because they call them now those because they moved from test sessions, calling that, to test registrations. So just in our trainings, we have updated that information. And then, during this time, you also want to make sure that you're running those reports in Infinite Campus to make sure that you are getting all the students into the system in WIDA AMS to be able to be tested. And then also your materials have already been delivered to your district. So another thing that you can be doing now is inventorying those test materials. If you've got some discrepancies, if you didn't receive some materials, then you will want to put that on the materials form in WIDA AMS. So that way we can account for those materials. And then also we have additional order materials window had opened on December 5th, and it goes all the way to February 9th. And you can order additional materials as a district assessment coordinator only. And you do have, if you need to have do additional orders, please make sure as a district assessment coordinator that you checked your overage of materials that you received from DRC. Also check within the schools. And one of the tips I always try to tell people is that try not to put those pre-ID label those pre-ID labels on the booklets, for your grades 1 through 3 right now, or your kindergarten or your alternate. Try not to do those until closer to the testing window. That way, if our students are very mobile and they may have moved before the testing window, and so if there's not a pre-ID label on it and you need those materials, you can borrow from those from the schools in your district, or you can borrow from your DAC who has overage of materials, as long as there's not a pre-ID label that is assigned to that booklet. And then test schedules. It's always important that you have a test schedule set up for this, and you can either have it printed or have it electronic for that, because that's going to be an important piece of information that we'll want to look at when we come out and do site visits during testing. And then also with your technology coordinators, making sure they have completed their checklist that is in WIDA AMS to make sure that all the devices are set up for testing and that you're ready to go for that. And they've got all the software downloaded and on the devices that are going to be testing in your district. And then let's talk about test security, because that's another important piece that I want to make sure that you just kind of reiterate to your staff that when it comes to, testing online, you're going to have you're going to print test tickets, and those are secure materials. You want to do that closer to the testing window. Usually the day before is what I recommend, is printing those test tickets for those students from WIDA AMS. And once you print those, you have to keep those secure throughout the entire process until testing is complete. And then you will destroy those according to your district policy. Also, another thing we want to keep secure is your test booklets. Test booklets, because we do have just a limited amount of printed materials that you have for testing for access, and that is, we have the test booklets for our writing booklets for grades 1 through 3. And then we also have our WIDA alternate assessment booklets that we have that are printed and shipped to you. And then also we have our kindergarten materials that are paper materials. And then another types of paper materials that we have for access is for our large print and Braille students who may need those. And so remember to also have a check-in and check-out process of these materials each and every day, and make sure that you account for those and keeping those secure. And we, for any of our state required assessments, you always want to keep them double locked in, usually the BACs or the DACs have a place in their office or in their or in a room that they have designated for that. You don't want to keep these materials locked up in the classrooms. You always want to make sure that there is one location for check-in and check-out process for those. And this is also very important, like when you are testing off-site, that you always want to make sure that if you're testing any students in a home hospital type situation, or we do have students who are in a jail type setting that are tested with paper materials, that you have a check-in and check-out process. And that also, if you're taking devices out to the homes to test students in the home, in a home hospital type situation or in the home, that you have the devices connected to the school when you're taking those out, and that you have let DRC know that you are, and your technology has let DRC know in your district that those devices are connected, and that you do have a check-in and check-out process for those. And that's just important things around test security. And then also with trainings, making sure that you have had the administration code, the inclusion of special populations, if you've got any students who have an IEP or 504, with the inclusions training. And then also we have access trainings that we have on our KD website that we have released for you to assist you. And then also review on the Kentucky members page of the WIDA website, We have the test schedule there, as well as in our trainings. And then also on we have the WIDA online checklist that's also on that our Kentucky member page. And that WIDA online checklist is very important as a DAC, as a BAC and a test administrator, because it breaks down your roles and helps you to just kind of keep up with all the things that you have to do for access. And there's also a column there for on that checklist to be able to check that off. And that's not only for online, but it also tells you for your alternate access, and then also for your kindergarten students for that particular piece. And then it's always important that, that before testing that you have given your students the practice test, and for them to be familiar with the format prior to them getting ready to test online with the students. And then also go over those test security procedures with students, with their devices, making sure they have no devices, that to do their best, and not being going out to any other types of using their devices to go out to other websites and things like that, because they're not allowed to use their devices during testing. There are things that we do for in the classroom that we want to say that we can't do for testing. Sometimes students are used to using their devices in the classroom, but when it comes to our assessments, they are not allowed to use those devices for any of our assessments. And that it is a lockdown browser when we get ready to get into the DRC Insight to be able to test our students. So it's important to review those procedures with them. Our testing window, now we're going to get into, we've gone through a lot of what we do before testing and to get us ready. Now we're going to get ready for during testing. And of course, our testing window for access is January 4th through February the 16th. And we want, there is no opt-out of testing for any of our state required assessments. We are to test our students in person. There's no remote testing of students. If you're doing off-site testing, whether it be in a juvenile detention center, whether it be in a home hospital type situation, or et cetera, that making sure that you are testing the students as possible during that window, unless there is a medical reason why that you cannot test the student. And then, of course, test security, making sure that your test materials are all kept secure during testing with the test tickets, the test booklets, the scratch paper, if students need those. And then having those check-in and check-out processes. And just wanted some tips for you with scratch paper. If a student needs scratch paper, there are, if they're testing online, there is a online spot for you to be able to click on, to be able to, jot down just a few things if they need to. But that scratch paper really is just to kind of jot some things down if they need to. It is not to write out a script, for you when it comes to speaking, and then be able to, record that. So that, just caution you on some tips around scratch paper. It's also not a thing for you to use, and remember that it's for a student, and that should be collected. It should never be left with the student to take with them after testing you should collect that along with the test tickets. And those should never, leave those testing areas. And those always should be returned back to your building assessment coordinators once testing is done. Monitoring, always want to remember to always actively monitor. That means getting up, walking around. You know, if you've got groups of students that you're testing, always doing that monitoring process, actively monitoring. If you're doing one-to-one, making sure you're not doing anything else, but being there to read the instructions for the students, having the materials ready for the students when they're testing, and troubleshooting anything that happens during testing as well. And then also just want to, during this monitoring of students, making sure that you're not leaving students unattended, that they're not behind, like if you're testing in a library type session, in a situation that you're not just leaving the student in there with a computer or with a test booklet by themselves, that you are actually physically in that room as well. Any rooms that you're testing a student, you should be physically in that and monitoring that student at all times. Not grading papers or, not being on your phones or anything like that. The students should not have their cell phones out. And when you're actively monitoring, that'll also help to make sure when you collected the phones, prior to testing, and also making sure that they don't have another phone, because sometimes students have borrowed a phone from someone, or they may have a burner phone, have an additional phone that you may not be aware of. And so when you're actively monitoring, is to be looking for those devices and making sure that they're not going out to websites and plagiarism, and copying things with plagiarism onto our assessments, because that is not allowed on any of our assessments. And then also when it comes to our tier level reports, making sure for your grades 1 through 3, when it comes to additional materials, you don't know what you need at this point for grades 1 through 3, because the testing hasn't taken part. And so once you've tested in the listening and the reading domains, then you'll go into the tier level report in WIDA AMS, and then you can pull those booklets. And if you need additional materials, you can do that at any time during the window up until the deadline, and that your district assessment coordinator will place those. And your DAC will need to send me an email when they're ready to do additional orders, so that way I can go in and set those permissions up for your DAC to do that. Also, test setup. You can do test setup. If you get any new students coming in, if they're brand new to the United States and they've never been anywhere else, of course, you have to give the screener prior to giving the assessment. And so if they qualify off of the screener, then you would place them in the online test sessions, unless they're a kindergartner alternate. And then they would take the paper assessments. And then another thing is that, with your students, is also running those reports in Infinite Campus throughout the window, just making sure that you're not missing any students that are new to the district. And like I said, if a student moves from, was in a previous district during testing and had already started testing and had not finished, there is the transfer in that you have form that you have to fill out in WIDA MS to transfer them over to your district, so that way you can complete testing with them. Another thing is seating charts, making sure that you have your that you are making sure that your test administrators are on there, any of the proctors that are proctoring the test, as well as where the students are, and having those both electronically or printed, those seating charts for both individual or group testing. And then we also have our access rosters that will be open January 5th, which will be the next day after you start testing of access. It'll open, and it will remain open through March 7th. And for our access rosters and SDRR, that's anyone who has district or school level access can get into those rosters. And when you get into the rosters, those will be blank. And the reason we have those blank is that this is during this time of roster phase for access, it's only for non-participations only. So if you've got a student who needs a medical non-participation, then that is one of the reasons why you would need to add the student into that, and then upload that medical non-participation into SDR during this time. And then also during testing, we do site visits. We like to come out and see all the wonderful things that are happening during testing, and be able to see all the great things that you're doing, and the wonderful buildings that you all go to each day. It's a pleasure for us to be able to do those site visits and be able to come out and support you during this time as well. And so look forward to doing those site visits with you this year. And then the last thing I have is some resources for you for access. And here is a link to the WIDA Secure portal for both the training courses, the webinars, resources for you. Also the professional development, that we provide you with free professional development for all of your teachers who are working with ELs, whether it be your EL teachers or your content teachers. Also your administrators who want to work with ELs or want more information on, to help support their staff. There's professional development opportunities for them, and then additional resources for you on that as well when it comes to manuals and things like that that you're going to need for testing if you need additional. Then the next one resource is WIDA AMS. It links you directly to WIDA AMS for you to test for test setup of your students, for accounts if you've got any new staff who need to be testing this year, test tickets. To be able to print your test tickets, you can do that during that time. And then also your technology, for your technology coordinator, there's resources. The checklist is also there in WIDA AMS, as well as the software they're going to need, and any webinars that they missed that can also be directly from WIDA AMS as well. And then here's a link to the WIDA Accessibility and Accommodations Manual for you, for your students who have an IEP or 504. To get to those forms at the back of the manual. Plus it also breaks down what in that accessibility manual, for all students, not only for just your IEP and 504 students. But and then you have the forms page on the KDE website that for your seating charts, for that no opt-out of testing policy, if you want to review over that. And then also your medical non-participations are there. The site visit forms will be there as well for access. And then the administration code and inclusions, that is linked for you for the trainings, and also the access trainings are linked here. And then the KDE website, our member page on the WIDA website for our testing schedule, the checklist, and for, what are the PD opportunities for you. So I've given you a lot just as a reminders to kind of help you get ready for testing before and during, and some resources. And as always, you feel free to ask me any questions. You can call me, email me anytime, and I'll be more than glad to help you with anything that you have. Ben, do we have any questions that have come up during this time?
Refreshing right now. It looks like we do not, but if we do, we'll circle back around after the next section on ACT and catch anything else.
All right, thanks, Ben. And as I want to say is to wish you all a Merry Christmas and a Happy New Year, and enjoy your time off with your family and your friends. And I look forward to seeing you in the new year for Access, because we'll get started in the new year with that. And now I'm going to turn it over to my wonderful colleague and manager is Shara. So take it away, Shara.
Thank you, Chris. I appreciate that. Good morning, everyone. I hope you all are having a wonderful week, and I know you are in the midst of holiday parties and gearing up for the holidays. And I want to wish you, each and every one, a happy holiday, and a new year is quickly approaching us too. So quickly we'll get into some ACT reminders. We've got some update, so we've got some deadlines approaching, and I wanted to take this last chance to remind everyone, if you haven't already submitted those accommodations requests in the TAA system, OAA strongly encourages you to go ahead and to get those requests in before leaving for the holidays, because if it takes ACT a little bit to review those, and if you wait to the deadline to submit, then ACT could come back and deny those because they needed additional information, and then that deadline would have been passed, and so they would deny those accommodations. So that's why it's really important to go ahead and submit those now. That way ACT has time to catch up and review, and then when you come back, if ACT needs anything, then you can upload that and get those accommodations approved through ACT. And then here is there's several deadlines in January. So I wanted to go ahead and get those, the reminder out to you, so you could be thinking about those and what you've got coming up after you get back. So we will have the student data file uploaded, and PAN will be open for you all on January 10th. And there, at that point, you'll start the verify enrollment request, verify enrollment review, checking to see if you need to add any students, and that sort of thing. So that deadline is from January 10th to the 26th. And so the 26th is that deadline, and that deadline is important. Now, the barcode labels are not important as much now as they have been in the past, since we have moved to online testing, mostly online testing. But those are sent out to you in the case of emergency, in case we have to move a school from online to paper. So that way you have them at the ready if that would happen. But most importantly now, what that deadline is good for, verifying that enrollment, is the non-test instructions, because ACT will mail out, along with those barcode labels, the My ACT non-test instructions for each student that's loaded into PAN to be tested. So January 10th to the 22nd, the 26th is very important. So just mark those on your calendar, on your to-do list for when you get back. Okay. Then just a reminder that January 31st is the deadline for site readiness. So you work with your tech department to get your devices updated and ready for testing, and then we do what we call a freezing of the test environment, not allowing any more updates once that site readiness task has completed. And I have on your screen a list of good resources for you and your tech department to assist you with this important task. And I believe that's all I have been. Do we have any ACT questions?
Let's see, I am refreshing. It doesn't look like we got any questions, but we did get a question about data in our secure web apps. Do we care if I ask that one right now?
Yeah.
All right. It says, I'm unable to locate the 2023 K-Screen data in the secure web apps. Is the data still available to DACs?
Well, that's a very good question. And yes, it's still available, but so to accommodate the flow of data being released, OAA will remove, the policy is to remove data after it's been available to districts for a few weeks. So that process has been completed. We've had, we've done our final data, and so all that is out there. So the team did remove the K-Screen the data, but so it is still available if people need it. So if you need access to the K-Screen data, please send Lisa Jett at education.ky.gov an email, and she will ensure that you get the information that you need. So if you go on there and it's gone, just email Lisa Jett, and she will get you taken care of.
All right. Well, it doesn't look like I have any other questions at this time, but I do want to remind all of our listeners and viewers that if they do have questions and they think of them later in the day or at a different time, please email dacinfo@education.ky.gov. If you have questions pertaining to Sherry Craig's presentation, please feel free to email those to us as well, and we'll make sure she gets them. And I will turn it back over to you, Shara.
Thank you. So at this time, with no additional questions out there, I'm going to turn it back over to Jennifer, who will finish us out this morning.
Thanks, Shara. And thanks to Ben, thanks Krista, Sherry, and to Chris for all the good information that was shared today. I hope each of you have a happy holidays, and you get to enjoy time with family and friends. I hope you get to relax. I hope you're already enjoying activities with your loved ones and all of the joys of the holiday season. And I know for me and my family personally, the school holiday meal is a treat. So I hope that each of you get to enjoy the school holiday luncheon. So we wish you nothing but the best, and we will be back here in 2024. And the next DAC webcast is scheduled for January 11th. So until then, have a safe and happy holidays.